Hello, welcome. This is Parker Thomas Breezebois, first of his name, and you are watching The Iridescent. My guest today is Nicholas Poggi Nestingen. We're big believers in middle names here at The Iridescent, and lo and behold, I fucking promised you all that we were going to get an interview in at some point. So this is, in fact, the inaugural segment of 6 Feet Apart with Exceptional Humans. We believe in social distancing here. We are 6 feet apart. I measured this out. We got nice airflow. We're not wearing masks. Sorry, but we're doing the best we can, and neither of us are immunocompromised. So, Nick, I got some questions for you. We're just gonna rattle them off.
Okay, let's do
rapid
it.
fire. To start, what inspires you?
Oh gosh, I guess I'd say the most inspiring thing I can think of off the top of my head is to do something. And that's generic. Yeah, it's generic and big. But if I can look back and be like, wow, I did something there. Whatever that something is, I think that gives me a lot of internal satisfaction.
To accomplish tasks.
Yeah, to accomplish tasks. Ideally, it's a bigger task,
right?
Rather than something small like, oh yeah, I took out the trash today.
Right. Right. But with tasks, it tends to be, or broader objectives, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Those tend to be an accumulation of smaller tasks, no?
Yeah, usually that's how it works. I mean, that's the process to getting there.
Yeah. So, like, taking out the trash, you're feeling more responsible, more cleanly, it smells less bad in the house,
Yeah.
You're more inspired to cook, your girlfriend comes over, you get late. That's doing something.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And it's an accumulation of smaller tasks.
It is, yeah, exactly.
Well, I appreciate a broad answer to a broad question. I think inspiration is something that people don't ask themselves much about in general. Because, like, what the fuck could you define inspire? I don't think I could define that word. Do you know what today is?
Sunday, August 9th?
Yeah, it's Sunday. What's Sunday, Nick?
The Lord's Day.
The Lord's Day.
Is that the right day?
That is the right day.
That was the correct answer.
That was the correct answer. I don't know if you've seen some of my other episodes, we talk about, like, Kitten Day, Porn Day, Video Game Day, all that shit.
I wasn't sure if there was going to be a special holiday going on.
No, I wanted to see if I could get you with a head fake, but I couldn't. You nailed it. It is the Lord's Day.
Yeah, no, it's always on my mind.
Okay, speaking of the Lord, how much do you drink?
It's honestly probably like once to twice a week. Although I went on coronavirus allowed me to take something that inspired me. It was a motivation of mine to take a time period off of drinking. So I actually went like 28 days without drinking.
Without a sip?
Yeah. Well, maybe I had like a sip of beer,
sure.
but like without completing a beer.
Damn, dude.
And that was awesome. And now I'm free of that, and mentally I'm like, well, gosh, I can have a beer whenever I want. But God, whenever I have a beer, like, feel like, I don't know, my stomach in the morning is a little bubbly.
Bubbly guts. Yeah. Yeah. Damn, dude.
I'm not as fresh as I used to be, and so I get accused of being gluten intolerant by my girlfriend.
Oh, really?
So that's got me really self-conscious about myself.
Dang, dude.
So how much do I drink? Not that much, but when I drink, I tend to have a few drinks.
Right.
Now, right now, I'm having a beer.
What are you having?
Well, I'm having a Blue Moon mango wheat.
Mmm.
This is, I told you, these are the scraps of beer that have been living in my refrigerator. So this is from an event like 2.5 months ago that I still haven't drank.
Ooh, an event? You guys had an event during coronavirus?
Well, I don't remember exactly. A couple months ago.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood. We all kind of deal with a beer smorgasbord now and again.
Yeah.
And these are exactly the occasions to be drinking them. But damn, dude, I'm hung up on 28 days. That's a long fucking time to go without them.
Oh, I was super happy for myself. But
good for you, man.
Really, what I needed was forced social isolation to do it. Oh, because what I find myself in is every weekend it's okay. I don't want to drink this weekend.
Right.
And then someone like says, "Oh, hey, what are you doing Saturday night?" No, again, things are all weird now, but in general, in the normal world, "Oh, what are you doing Saturday night?" And you go, "Well, nothing." And then the plans come together, and you go, gosh, I'd love to be drunk during that.
Yeah, right.
And so you say, oh, I can do it. I don't have any reason not to.
Yeah.
And then it just cascades every single week. So
Right. Damn, okay. All right. So social isolation means no social drinking. So you're a social drinker.
I am a social drinker.
Damn, bro. I always thought of myself as a social drinker, but I'm very much not a social drinker.
I've acquired a little bit of a taste to be a casual recreational drinker.
A connoisseur.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I prefer Blue Moon Mango Weed or like a dark IPA.
Right. Okay. Well, shit. I actually thought both of those questions were going to be curveballs, but you truly are lordlier than I remember you. Nick, how do you make a living?
I work for a biotech company that's doing a new type of cancer treatment. It's called CAR T therapy. So it's
CAR T therapy?
CAR T, like a car you
like
drive.
T
T is in T cells, yeah.
Maybe T cells.
You've been reading about your immune response to COVID. Maybe you've heard of the T cells.
Yes, I have.
Those are the big daddies. Those are the main workers in your immune system.
As opposed to there's another letter cell that works in immunoresponse.
There's the B cell too.
B cells, that's the one. So what's the difference between a T cell and a B cell, roughly? If you could give a layman a talking point here.
Oh gosh, there was when I was in cell biology class, I'd 100% have this like a clear answer for you. I think the T cells are, I think, a little more frequent in your immune system. It's something about how they interact with different stuff. The really short answer is I don't remember.
Good. Honestly, love it.
We don't work with B cells.
No, it's not CAR B. It's
Yeah.
not Cardi B therapy. It's CAR T therapy. So, in a nutshell, though, you're working on CAR T therapy. What it is? So it's boosting the production of T cells in the body to.
You isolate the T cells, and then they are genetically modified to recognize cancer cells in the body.
Ooh.
And then they're put back in the human body.
So is that in any way, shape, or form related to like CRISPR type techniques?
CRISPR, it's a similar concept.
Okay. So, all right, it's cancer treatment through gene editing.
Yes.
Specific gene editing. Okay. And what types of cancer are these types of treatments specifically geared towards treating?
They're for blood cancers.
Blood cancer.
So,
okay.
Yeah, cancers that live in the bloodstream.
Right. So like leukemia or something like that. Or,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. And you like that work?
Yeah, it's cool. It talk about accomplishing something, doing something. It's
that checks out, dude. You're fucking nailing this quiz so far.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I can look back at the time I've worked and go, wow, I really did something there.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a grind, right?
Yeah.
It feels like you're showing up to work and you're doing something that matters rather than just selling your time for money.
Exactly.
Man, that's the fucking goal, dude. That's fucking goals. Because if you've watched the show at all, part of the mission statement basically is resenting the 9 to 5, precisely because it makes a lot of people sell their time for shit they just don't give two shits about,
Yeah.
So
and it's a balance. Like I don't work a 9 to 5. I work a 5 to 5, a 5 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So I work 12-hour days.
12 hours.
So sometimes I'm like, I get home and I'm...
Wait, how many of those a week?
It's 3 one week, 4 the next week.
Oh, so it balances out to about 40?
Yeah. I guess plus a couple hours over the course of a week.
Did you get overtime for that?
Yes, I did get overtime.
Okay.
So there's some
overtime.
There's some flexibility built into my daily life. The days on are chaos. It's you talk about feeling like you've sold your time for money. You truly have. Every 10 minutes is like precious. But then the days off.
Yeah.
I'm at the start of a 4-day weekend right now. The Lord's Day is kicking off a 4-day weekend for me.
Hey, you get the Lord's Day and a virtual Saturday all in one.
Exactly.
That's fucking wholesomely lit, bro. All right, cool. Well, you've mentioned Juno working for that company to me before. I understood when you started there, it was a pretty small fish in a pretty big pond. So naturally, there's bigger fish than that guppy swimming around in there. You got ed up a couple times, didn't you? Did Juno get bought out?
Yeah, Juno got bought out twice.
Wow.
But they leave us alone. Like
we
just sort of, it's everything in this new type of therapy is pretty new. So, obviously a new type of therapy, everything's pretty new. But like in terms of if you're creating the wheel, this is basically making the wheel.
So Juno made the wheel, is what you're saying.
Well, it was an early.
Okay.
It was an early contributor to the wheel. So the wheel is still being designed.
Right.
And so in that sense, no matter how big the other fish are, they don't really have insight into what the best way to do it is, because we don't even know what the best way to do it is.
Right. So Juno, sticking with this fish in a pond and wheel metaphor, you guys are this little guppy with this like super novel idea. This is way back when, a couple years ago, with this novel idea on the right way to do a spoke, right? More or less. And then slightly bigger fish that's like a wheel dilettante, like interested in things rolling, comes by and sees you guys building that spoke, right? And then they eat you. But then you're big enough to continue doing what you were doing, designing that spoke unperturbed inside that fish's belly.
Yeah.
And then that fish got ate too, right?
Yeah.
Happened more than once?
Yeah, but
man,
we didn't get digested, we're still just existing in that.
Okay, so it's pretty tranquil.
Yeah.
You're pretty insulated from the dog eat dog world of corporate merging.
Yes, yeah.
Interesting. See, because I guess I'm like sort of steeped in this myth or like this like symbolic idea of mergers just being like catastrophic for people. Or like the grunts, you know what I mean? Like layoffs because of redundancies and management changes, and they mix all this shit up. But it sounds like that's not happening.
I mean, we're a fish that can do construction. And maybe there's other fish that did get grinded up and digested in the belly.
But it's not that. You're not that fish.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, that's gotta feel good.
Yeah.
It sucks for those other fish, but it'd be what it is. So how early do you get up for work?
Wake up at 4:20.
4:20.
That's what my alarm set for.
Damn, dude, a lordly man wakes up at 4:20 a.m. Holy shit. Okay, so you do that for work. How early do you wake up when you're not working?
Oh, it's totally variable. Today I woke up at 8. I was pretty displeased about it. I really like to sleep in on the weekends. It really feels good.
Oh, you're displeased. It was too early.
Yeah, it was too early. So, it's going to be variable. Is there a dog barking outside the window or something? There actually was no dog today, but I have heard dogs or like construction. And that disturbs me and greatly displeases me.
Yeah. But you do have to admit that all dogs are good boys.
Yeah, they are all good boys. But it's totally variable. What am I doing the night before? How late am I staying up? But I don't go into hibernation on my weekends.
Right, got it. You don't sleep till noon or nothing. Well, shit. So you would say your natural circadian rhythm is more the sleep in, the stay up late sleep in, or
that would be probably the preferred circadian rhythm.
So that being the case, you wake up at 4:20 a.m. on a work day.
Yeah.
How much coffee do you drink?
0.
No coffee.
0 ounces.
0 ounces. Okay, so how do you get your caffeine then?
No caffeine.
None at all.
Okay. I wake up and it's go time.
Wow. Follow-up question. How long have you been into sadomasochism then?
It started for me, the not having coffee. I don't drink coffee. I don't have caffeine. I don't drink a soda. Like, I don't use any like sort of performance enhancing substance to keep my brain awake. It's a combination of a belief in mental toughness and just
extreme desire.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go that far, but at least just determination, self-determination, and having a strong will. Maybe there's just some people lacking that out there, but it started a conversation with a friend in high school.
Oh.
And he says to me, "Oh, how much coffee do you drink?" And I go,
"In high school."
Yeah, in high school. And I was like,
a little early.
Yeah, and I was like, "I don't drink coffee. Like, why would I need coffee?"
Yeah.
And he says, "You don't drink coffee? How? Like, you playing sports after school and like pretty busy. And I'm like, don't need it. And he's like,
Yeah.
you're going to need it. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to need it. And then he's like, no, well, when you get to college, you're going to need coffee. And I said, no, I won't. And he's like, no, you will. And that was it. That was the extent of the conversation. But in that moment, the idea was planted into my brain that I can't let him be right. So I can't break. I can't have proven to be weak. Weeks is a strong word. I can't let
strong words on the show. I can use strong words.
I couldn't let him win. That's really what it was.
It's a PED.
Yeah.
It's hot, warm work water that has been normalized culturally as it's a highly addictive substance, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know everyone tells me now I can't get going without the coffee.
Yeah.
And I'm just eating like a bag of almonds. We got a couple snacks. Have some almonds. Have a Cliff Bar, and I'm ready to go.
And most of those people who tell you they can't get going without the coffee, when they say get going, what they mean is go to fucking work, do whatever it is.
Just cognitively function and talk. And so I guess you could say my friend performed Inception on me.
Wow.
Like that's the truest. That's a real life example.
Do you often write him handwritten letters?
I mean, it's possible that there's a whole another level of potential that's just locked away in my brain, and I just won't let it out because I won't drink coffee. Or I've just achieved the ultimate human state of not needing coffee.
Yeah, okay. You could be a bodhisattva, but you could also be just like holding on to a limitless pill that basically is just waiting to be triggered.
Exactly. That's how I think of it in my head. I've slept 4 hours on a work night before. I definitely don't feel good.
Dude.
I feel, actually, I would say I feel pretty terrible for the entire day. But I still make it happen.
All right, well, yeah, it's a shame you have to do that because that's just the fucking 9 to 5 making you do that. Or, excuse me, the 5 to 5 making you do that. Would you rather experience acute anxiety or acute depression? You're a millennial, you know. You identify as a millennial?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. See, so do I. I think there's some people who would say that we're on the young end of it. I'm 26, you're 26.
We're on the young end?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on the young end. So we're like the youngest of millennials, or right about there. And below us are the Zoomers, or my personal favorite, and you can weigh in on this, and I'd love you to, they're not the Zoomers. The more appropriate name for the generation younger than millennials is the meme lords. They are Jedi masters of communication via memes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you watched TikTok at all? Have you ever seen TikTok?
I mean, I get sent TikTok, but I dug in, kind of like your thing with the caffeine. Early on, I just read some stuff about how TikTok is controlled by the Chinese government because it's owned by a Chinese company, and all Chinese companies are owned by the Chinese government, and it's just a fucking surveillance technique. You know, it's a way for them to build their facial recognition database. So I was kind of like, and I was salty that Vine went under. I fucking love Vine, dude. I used to fall into the Vine hole for hours at a time. But yeah, no. What was your thought on TikTok?
Wow.
TikTok,
I mean, that's I consider the average age of a TikToker to fall into the meme lord generation.
Yeah.
And I despise TikTok, but like in the sense I mean, I haven't really read. I know there's something going on with the Chinese government, but in terms of the content that's produced, it's literally just communication to each other in various memes that catch on. It's just someone starts doing a dance, or there's one little song, or there's one little trend that starts, and then they all start doing. Everyone in TikTok starts doing it, and then everyone that watches it is like, oh yeah. I know the TikTok.
It's all self-referential. It's like a closed circle. I mean, it's something vaguely representing the English language, but it's in a lot of cases totally inaccessible.
Yeah, and it spreads the ideas. Kind of spread you could say a virus or something like that.
A highly contagious one.
Yeah.
But cycling back to the question, the reason I bring up the meme lords is there's statistics that there's anthropological studies that like to show features of generations, so to speak, like what makes millennials generally different in terms of mean or median characteristics than Gen X or boomers or meme lords or Zoomers or whatever. And one thing that, a couple things that stuck out to me among Zoomers is, first of all, they are far less likely to experiment with drugs and alcohol and like sex, I believe, at a younger age, which kind of surprises me considering like media saturation with like the use and participation in all of those things, you know. But the other one is they are far more likely to experience acute depression or acute anxiety at a young age.
God, I forgot this was a question. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just curious, which one would you rather experience on a day? If you had to wake up and just like deal with the fucking rabid grizzly bear of acute depression or the rabid mountain lion of acute anxiety, what would it be?
Gosh, I guess I would lean depression. I just feel like you can have a clearer mind. Like you're sad, but I mean, I'm saying that like I can really know what that experience is like. So I hesitate to like.
This is a mindful guy here. See, he's mindful of those of you who've been out there and experienced those types of things. Good on you for that. But, you know, I'll take the heat for this fucking conversation.
Yeah, so I hesitate to make an absolute like assumption about what the experience is. But I can at least say I've had days where I'm sad and you're able to. I think I move around a little bit more than if I'm like anxious about something. I'm able to just think a little more clearly. Yeah. For me.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, I've never been diagnosed with either of those things, right? So like, I feel you on the like kind of apprehension about like trying to be able to like speak to the experience, like. Specifically, like lean one way or the other, but I think basically everybody gets some form of either of those, and I would totally agree with you on the depression thing. Have you ever had like something close to an anxiety attack, or like what you would think of as like a panic attack or something like that?
Never to the point where I'm like paralyzed from doing anything, but certainly to the point where like it's like greatly disturbing my train of thought.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Like acute anxiety or whatever. Because I've got that shit where it just feels like my fucking heart's beating out of my chest for no reason. I can't keep a fucking straight thought. And you know when I get that the most is is when I'm particularly hungover. That's probably my least favorite hangover symptom is like a generalized anxiety.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say I get anxiety from being hungover, but I have these, I call them existential hangovers.
Existential hangovers.
And I drink a bunch the night before.
Yeah. How to get an existential hangover.
And then I wake up the next day. It's totally random. Some days I've just got to take a shit like 3 times in the morning.
Yeah.
But some days I wake up.
That's probably the most okay hangover symptom.
Sometimes I do that.
I
wake up, I poop 3 times in the morning, but then my head is just in outer space the entire day.
Yeah.
And I can't like, I got no inspiration. I got no drive.
You don't want to do anything.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's definitely not anxiety, but it's definitely something where I'm like particular. It doesn't take much to like set me off in a bad direction.
Right. Because you're not.
Because I'm just thinking. My mind's just all these thoughts are bouncing around in my skull.
You're just a piece of driftwood, you know.
Exactly.
In a like vaguely conscious, like low-grade emotional, like unexamined, just like eddy of wherever the fuck you're gonna go. You know, you're just like feeling like
and if someone's a boat and they bump into me, I'm like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah.
So physically, not really much of a symptom.
Yeah.
Not much of a symptom thing for me. You know, mentally, just cloudy mind, like unable to like enjoy whatever it is I'm doing.
Taints the thinking yogurt, so to speak. Well, that answers that.
Yeah.
Bringing us to our next subject, I brought up that we played sports together. Division III football. Is that a great form of the sport or the greatest form of the sport?
I certainly have grown to have an admiration for the ridiculousness.
Yes.
How it all comes together. You know, the whether it's like it's the structure of the team, that just seems like the universal disrespect across the board of the student body towards the football team. That seems like a pretty consistent theme. Yeah, you probably got one or two teams where everyone's like, oh yeah, our football team's good, but then the fans probably don't really care. They're just like, oh, they're good.
For those of you unfamiliar with the experience, the thing about Division III football is it's non-scholarship football. It's college football, but we're playing at schools that, I mean, we don't get on TV, you know, we're barely a revenue draw. The student body just generally doesn't care. We play at such small schools that the rest of the student body just tends to give zero fucks unless they know somebody on the football team.
Yeah, you know? and so as I've graduated, I've come to realize, so I, as a sports fan growing up, right, I'm wearing a Seattle Mariners shirt. I operated, the Barbados flag upside down, right? So I operated in the world of sports money, where it's like, oh yeah, if a guy signs a $2 million contract, right, you're like, oh, what a great deal for the team.
Yeah.
Because you got guys that make $50 million.
Right. It's a bargain.
So when you hear about your Division III teammate that decided to stay for a fifth year and now has $120,000 in student debt, when you're a senior in high school, you say, oh, well, you know, that's whatever. Like, right? Because all I operated in was like that was the only way I thought of money.
Yeah.
But when you actually get into the workforce and you're like, oh, dude, you got to pay off like $120,000.
That's like a lot of paychecks.
And then you got interest on top of that. The concept of interest that's introduced.
And
then you go,
paychecks.
and then you like reflect back to the ridiculousness of the entire experience of Division III football, and you go, wow, you took on $30,000 extra to do that, or you took on $100,000 for that. Like, I mean, it's not to say, I mean, I definitely love playing the sport of football, so I understand the draw of it, but I also am like,
most of what people have to show for it after the fact, because I'm with you. I mean, you can't really detract from the experience playing a sport that you enjoy playing.
Yeah.
But most of what a lot of us have to show for it is, you know, a fucking repaired ACL or a drinking habit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And it certainly, you know, it teaches it. You get the same, I think, learning lessons you can get from any sport, and I guess balancing class load in the sport itself.
Yeah, so work ethic. And
work ethic. But overall, I guess you think about it, and it's like, once you watch a few games post-graduation, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess this is pretty crazy. Like, it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
You hear about swaths of guys quitting, and when you're in the experience in the moment, you're like, oh, what the fuck? You quit on us, like, you fucking pussy, like, and
it causes you to buy in. You definitely have to drink Kool-Aid.
And then you get into maybe the workforce, and like, I draw back to my experience in my job, and like, my team is like bigger than our Division III football team. It's 120 people,
right?
And people leave this company that's making a treatment for cancer patients, which is, you know, it's a very noble cause, right? It's you can say
it's going to make waves, positive impact,
right? Yeah, it's going to make a positive impact, and people leave, and you don't say, oh, screw them.
You don't disown them as a person. Right.
You just didn't have what it took to like stick it out and do it forever.
Yeah.
But in the moment when you're playing Division III football, you go, well, if someone's discovering themselves in college and they realize, you know, this isn't what I want to do.
Yeah.
You go, oh, how dare you? Like, how dare you prioritize your life?
Dude,
over
it's
ours?
it really is like a tribal identity for its own sake. You know what I mean? Like, the impact is just so insularized, you know? Like, basically, and going back to the whole thing where we don't even have a fan base that gives a shit.
Yeah.
It's like, if we're winning, it's like awesome, you know?
And
the only people who care are our team.
I think I would say, despite all that, if someone can find a way to swing it, I'd still recommend they do it.
Fair, yeah. Well, okay, that brings me to, because that brings me to the next question. keeping with the absurdity, do you watch the shows like Hard Knocks or Last Chance U?
I do. It makes me really nostalgic. I like.
Yeah.
I watched Hard Knocks this year, and I was like, wow, that looks like D3 football camp, except they're all millionaires.
Mm-hmm. Well, those are the guys who made it, who are like doing it for like positive fun. Like they're not taking on debt. They're risking themselves to try to better themselves to make a living playing a pretty dangerous sport. Have you seen Last Chance U though?
I've seen like one or two.
Oh fuck, bro! That's like the inversion of Division III football. Because frankly, we're all playing football still in Division III, not because it's going to get us anywhere in life, like we were talking about, specifically the football part.
Yeah.
Like I understand there's like this abstract character building case and like experiences you can't put a price tag on, but it's not like anybody's career in Division III is going to be playing football.
Yeah.
As opposed to the junior college route, where these guys are literally part of the meat industry of American football, where a lot of them are under the high-octane cognitive dissonance illusion that they're either going to make it to the fucking league and they got to do whatever they got to do to get there, or they're going to go back out on the streets,
Yeah.
Just kind of a pretty gnarly juxtaposition of like what football is to different people.
And well, you could tie it into Division I right now with COVID as well.
True, yeah.
That's something I've never been an advocate of student athletes being paid. Like, I can understand selling your likeness, but I just think of it seems like a logistical nightmare. And I mean, I think they should have everything free. I'm fine. I've read and found out they got to pay for books and food and stuff like that. Like, I think they should have the whole experience free. This is just obviously like I haven't been a D1 athlete, so I don't know all about all their intense labors. But as COVID has come around, you got these individuals who you call it the meat industry, and in a sense it is, because if so-and-so at the University of Alabama, who's like an emerging superstar as a sophomore, but doesn't have really a pedigree to make it to the NFL,
you can't show
says, well, I'm uncomfortable playing in this current climate, regardless of whether or not he's an at-risk person, he's just uncomfortable, and he's got the right to be uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
But if he does that, he's possibly opting out of the rest of his life.
It taints the meat, so to speak. Sticking with the metaphor,
they've got 10 more guys that are just as hungry and are going to be talented, and if he opts out, new talent's going to come in, and that guy may never see the field again.
Damn.
Doesn't get drafted, doesn't get paid. And if he doesn't have a strong background where he can utilize resources to get another type of job, that really could be it. This could be the pivotal moment for
the margin was he was less willing to risk his health due to a pandemic.
Yes.
Fucking crazy shit. Let's see. Okay, so with all those stressors on football players specifically, and those in the NFL, does it make sense to you at all that weed is a banned substance in football? In the NFL and the NCAA, actually.
No, I mean, no more than like if I think drawing the equivalent between marijuana and alcohol is like they don't ban players from blacking out, and a lot of these players are not responsible when they black out.
Right.
So
you're not gonna.
I'm not sure what the
punch a woman in the face at a bar or like getting a fucking.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure where, what benefit it provides. Like, what are you stopping?
I know. I wish somebody could like in good faith, straight facedly like lay out that case, other than it's just like a tradition, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And traditionally weed is like reefer madness, like football players don't do that. It's like, who are we fucking kidding? Like what, we got all this knowledge about the benefits of the substance or like how it can be used as an adequate alternative to something like alcohol, and yet we still, somebody I think about Josh Gordon, like what a career that guy could have had if he had just stayed off the reefer. But it's like, dude, he was on the reefer the whole time, and he was balling the fuck out. He never got into any up to any criminal activities. He didn't get into a home robbery. He didn't beat a woman. He just kept smoking weed. And if you follow the media stories behind him, He's like one of the most vilified players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because he liked to get high. You know? I mean, you could argue maybe he was addicted or whatever, but just seems ridiculous to me, man. Let's see. Do you buy stocks?
Individual stocks, I would like to. Mm-hmm. I would like to be someone that is dedicated enough to doing it. During the great coronavirus stock market crash,
yeah,
I was ready. I had identified like 3 or 4 big like Starbucks, JP Morgan.
Oh, Starbucks got fucked. They stay fucked, bro. Their stuff's... I have some Starbucks stock.
Oh, really?
Well, fractional Starbucks stock.
Okay.
It's like... Wait.
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously haven't paid attention. I get stock from my company.
Yeah.
So that's the only individual stock I own.
Got it.
The rest of my stock market investments are strictly the index.
Right.
And I've come in the essence of thinking about selling your time for money. Yeah. I've come to greatly appreciate the index because my money goes in there and it does its thing. Maybe it goes down a little bit. For the most part, it's gone up. And I just don't even think about it.
And in the long term, it's going to go up.
Yeah, in the long term, I mean, the math says it's going to not just go up, it's going to go way up.
Right.
Because just the interest, you're going to keep investing more money and it's going to compound over time, and the market hypothetically always goes up.
Right. Sort of a esoteric voodoo background noise of the capitalist system is that you can make your money if you just like donate on the altar.
Exactly. And so just to finish that off,
yeah,
on one other thing, that's cryptocurrency.
Dude, I'm getting that.
Okay. All right.
But no,
resume.
Yeah. Okay. Good on you. But just like on a note about the stocks, like, I've talked a little bit about the stocks I buy, and I like shell out some really terrible advice sometimes. But he's right in that it's just generally a fucking horrible idea to buy individual stocks. Like Netflix, for example, right?
Yeah.
They're down $80 as of Friday from its 52-week high. Like, it's now like a $500 stock, but you just think about if you owned a bunch of Netflix stocks. And I would be someone who would have bought Netflix if I had the resources. I don't. I'm unemployed. If I had the resources, I would have, based on what I thought of as my like knowledge of society and what the consequences of something like the coronavirus, right? A global pandemic, people are going to get on Netflix, you know? So why wouldn't their stocks go up? Or why wouldn't the price of their stocks go up? It's plummeted like $80 since this whole thing. So, I don't know. I think it ties into what you were saying about you really just have to have the time to be able to like get into the weeds with that. Because anytime I buy a stock, it's like based off like one whim or inkling or like kind of whiff of a hint that I think I have about the way the world's going, right?
Yeah, and I read a bunch of books right when I graduated. I was like, oh, investing, that's the thing to do. Got to learn how to do it. And the books all funneled towards the same final message, which is like, yeah, you can try, like, but most people fail.
Yeah.
And you could just like roll with the index instead. To the point where now I see people say, "Oh, I want to read a book on investing," and I'm kind of like, "Well, just buy the index."
Give me the fucking Spark
I'll
notes.
just The Spark Notes is you should just buy the index unless you are planning on deep researching. Now, I don't. Some people might disagree with this, but in exceptional times such as the coronavirus, I think that there could be opportunities to be had there. Sure. I followed those
people
stocks.
Certainly have more free time.
I mean, everything is like gone up for some weird reason, but I followed the ones I was looking at, and for the most part, they all would have outperformed the market. I can't say I'm like following close enough that I'm like sitting in my house every day like hitting my head, but the reason I didn't buy is like I literally was looking at them at what ended up being the very bottom of the market. And the market closed because on Eastern time, and then the next day everything jumped up 6 or 7% because everything was crazy volatile, and I was like, oh well, I'm gonna wait, it'll go back down, which is another part of the anxiety of buying individual stocks. And then it goes up more, and I go, well, now I'm definitely not gonna buy, and then it just keeps going up, and now I'm like, okay, I'm no longer getting things at an exceptional price. So I think maybe value can be had, but in general, when the stock market is all just going up, as it has been for basically like 10 years now.
Yeah.
It's really hard to like figure out like what is undervalued.
It's just you literally have to do an insanity dance.
Yeah.
You know, because even if you feel like you're on top of all your shit, you could just be fucking wrong because there really is no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
It seems that way anyway. Well, so you mentioned you buy crypto.
Yes. It's been a little while since I bought some, but I still hold on to what I purchased.
Mm-hmm. And what crypto are you buying? Like Bitcoin, Dogecoin?
I got some Dogecoin. That's important. I've got a friend of mine who has some very strong opinions on sports, and so I would bet him money. He also hates crypto, so I'd bet him money on. It was like the NBA Finals and some football games and stuff, and then I would win because his opinions are fucking stupid. And I would take those winnings and I'd put them into Dogecoin because I knew that would also aggravate him.
Oh, shit.
And I haven't checked my Dogecoin
in his eyes,
wallet
you're just
in a while.
lighting the fucking money on fire.
Yeah, and I haven't checked my Dogecoin in a while, but I've had up to like 40,000 Doge or something. You got to remember, right? Doge is worth like 0.001 cent or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's got a very low value. Although I don't know what its value is today.
Yeah.
It's gotten close to a penny a couple times. One Doge equals 1 penny. But so I have some Dogecoin. My investment is Ripple, or XRP is what it's called.
XRP, Ripple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I own a little bit of Bitcoin too, or maybe I do. It's like if I do, it's like I purchased it in an intermediate and it's just sitting in an account, but it's insignificant.
Yeah.
So in my young state of wanting to be an investor when I got out of college, because I thought it was this big cerebral experience.
Yeah.
I found I had a friend. I guess I had a friend who bought crypto and his money's tripled in 1 week, and I was skeptical right off the bat. And then I started reading about all the different ones.
Yeah.
And I gravitated towards XRP because I felt like it had. I don't really want to like give everyone the like, oh, this is why you should buy it. But I felt
Iridescent officially endorses purchasing XRP.
There we go. That's awesome to hear. I felt it's.
But why are we doing that? Is what I'm asking. Like what? Because the thing with cryptos that like always kind of turned me off on them was, and I think this is probably true, is that most of them are just arbitrary as shit in that they're not linked to anything concrete.
Yeah, and so it's serving the SparkNotes version. It's the currency functions as an intermediate for banks that would allow them to transact money significantly quicker. And
now this is Ripple.
This is XRP.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just like it all really makes sense to me when I read about it.
So it's tied to a concrete function.
Yeah, it's tied to a concrete function,
Okay.
and they're
That
they've got partnerships where companies are actually like using it, and banks are actually trying it. But it's early phase. Overall point was I read it and I was like, this really makes sense. I could see this technology breaking through. That doesn't mean it's going to. I got taken on quite a ride after I purchased it.
How much of a ride?
Well,
how tall do you have to be on this ride?
Oh, you have to be taller than me, and I'm 6'5".
Fuck. Okay.
I set, novice investor. I said, okay, I'm not going to buy right off the bat. I'm going to watch the market for 6 months. That's a lot of time.
Okay.
In hindsight, I realized, well, no, market trends are in the tens of decades. Like, that's how you figure out a trend.
Yeah.
So I bought it, and within a month, it was worth $60,000.
Wait a minute.
I bought XRP, and within a month.
One Ripple?
No, I bought it because they were worth like less than $1.
Yeah.
So I bought a few thousand of them, and the price skyrocketed.
So how much did you pay?
$2,000 or $2,500.
$2,500, and within how long it was $60,000?
$60,000.
How long?
A month and a half.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then what happened?
Absolutely incredible experience.
Yeah.
And I said, oh gosh, do I sell? And then I started looking into taxes, and I was like, I don't want to deal with
Oh,
paying
no.
big money taxes. So I'm going to hold on to it because once you reach a year with an investment, you pay way less. And I said, well, the price will fluctuate a little bit.
That's an important note for the viewers. Long-term investments you pay less taxes on. Not to say taxes are bad, but just some knowledge that if you're going to get into investing, you should know. If you don't own something for a year and you sell it on a profit, you got to pay a higher percentage in taxes. Look at it. Important knowledge. Anyway,
Exactly. So I said, well, it might fluctuate a little bit, but I bet it'll like hold for the most part because I thought I knew the market. I'd watched the market
for 6 months.
For 6 months, that's plenty of time.
You were practically an ent at that point.
Exactly, and so I proceeded to watch all of that bleed out over the course of. Well, really, the majority of it happened in probably like a couple of months afterwards. The way I think of it is, it was unsettling the entire way up and unsettling the entire way down.
Okay.
And so now it's like, I mean, it moves up and down. It's nowhere close to what
it was.
It's a lot. It's like it's been below my buy price.
Yeah.
It's been above it by a little bit, but it's been nowhere close to what it was.
So at what point? Because it just seems like something like XRP isn't viable as a like, I'm going to retire on this type investment, you know?
Yeah, I mean, crypto is the equivalent of but you could say penny stocks.
Right. So at what point, like, do you set a bar? Like, all right, I've got this Ripple, and it's going up and down, and the only thing it's accumulating steadily over time is sentimental value. Like, at what point do you set a bar for, like, I'm going to sell it for this much if it hits that much?
Yeah, that's really the smart thing to do. That's what I try to tell myself to do when I like go to a casino and gamble. Yeah. But I never do, and then I usually end up like not winning because I don't have a like walk away.
This is a callback to a previous episode. If you've been watching the show all the way through, it's a lot like gambling, and if you're not that good at it, you know, you got to go in with some ground rules because you're gonna get fucked in real time if you don't. You know. Yeah,
for now.
I'm not saying you're getting fucked.
Yeah, well, so for now, the $2,500 I put in there was like, it's not money I need. So just let it ride out for a little while.
Well, you're not going to.
Do I have a sell price? Yeah, I'm not going to sell it on a loss. I have way too much gambler's remorse to like to just take my L and move on. Yeah, and it's actually up again by a little bit, so I can at least but I'm still not going to sell.
But the issue is, it's like you saw the tip of that mound, that $60,000 tip of that mound.
I guess what I'd say is I don't think it's impossible that it gets back there. And I've never been a Bitcoin guy, but the COVID situation opened my eyes to why it was created in the first place. And I'm not gonna like act like Bitcoin is the future and the ultimate thing. But when it all was going down and we're locking down and like people are losing their jobs, like in crazy numbers, and I'm sitting there and socially isolated and filled with anxiety and also going like, where are we going to get
your own thoughts rattling around in your head? Yeah.
Where are we going to get the money to like help people out? And then we just printed a couple $1 trillion,
dude.
And I was like, that's been an option this entire time. I think about every social issue we've had where there's like a massive wealth disparity. I mean, obviously you can't like print money infinitely because then maybe you get into hyperinflation, but the logic is the US dollar holds its value because of the power of the US military.
Dude,
whether or not that's true.
Well, no, I mean, it's not necessarily just the military, but that goes into like the United States is like geopolitical weight in general. And I think what you're touching on is like the meta of the whole thing is that currency is fucking arbitrary. Like it's only worth as much as like can actually be assigned value to it, and there's reasons that people impose artificial scarcity so that their dollar stays worth a lot.
And so something interesting I was listening to is that to have the U.S. dollar inflate the way it is actually doing nothing more than increase the wealth disparity, while something like Bitcoin prevents that because Bitcoin has most cryptos in general, I can't say this for sure, but for all of them, but Bitcoin in general has a finite number of
Bitcoin, right.
Which means that if someone fucks up and loses a bunch of Bitcoin that's in control, right? If the whole world operated on it, like, for example, the banks in the mortgage crisis,
2008.
Yeah, 2008. It's not like they can just create a bunch of new Bitcoin and like get bailed out, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, you've lost it. And so where it increases our current system, where it increases the wealth disparity, is that people who cannot afford to invest are not able to keep up with the inflation of their dollar.
Right.
And that was like a concept that like I sort of understood it, and then once this all went down, once we created $3 trillion from nothing, I was like, what does money even mean anymore?
Yeah, and I wish I was more of an economist, just in terms of like understanding that stuff, like the real like wonky bits of it in terms of like what offsets inflation, blah 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 blah. But crypto seems like, I think the dream of it is to sidestep the like global entanglements that exist in like real national, Federal Reserve note currency, dilemmas that arise from an increasingly globalized system of capitalism anyway. So I definitely see the appeal. I just would fucking hate to watch $60,000 worth of something fucking trickle away. But not to linger on that note, you'll figure it out. Gonna wrap it up here with sports. I went this whole time we did talk about sports. I get criticism from some of my viewers for talking about sports too much.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Right? I don't think it's an issue.
I've never felt like you went too deep on that.
Well, thank you. And also, I think it's a really interesting time to talk about sports in general. Just with the pandemic and shit. But before we go too deep into that, thoughts on the Kraken. The Seattle Kraken. There's a NHL expansion team coming to Seattle. We're not in Seattle, but we're close to Seattle. We're in Tacoma. That's a map of Tacoma. And they're called the Kraken. Thoughts on Seattle Kraken? Like the name? Meh on the name?
No, I was cool with it. I was down when the big names that were like getting hyped on Twitter were the Sockeye and the Kraken. And I was like, well, I feel like the Sockeye is pretty appropriate.
Yeah.
But they went with the Kraken. I'm cool with it. Hockey, don't know the sport that well, so that's the only sport I think I will consistently watch I don't know if I'll consistently watch it. Attempt to watch.
Yeah.
That I've never played before.
Right.
So I gotta learn the sport.
Do you think you'll get more into it now that there's a home team, so to speak?
Yeah, and I do. I think I will. And I think there's a good chance I continue with it because other people care about it.
Yeah.
And I get sucked into the hype.
Yeah.
Seattle Sounders, when they started, watched like the first 3 or 4 games. I was like, oh my God, I'm watching the start of the Seattle Sounders. And then which
is a great franchise.
Yeah, well, you're not going to appreciate what I have to say, but the reason I lost interest is I was like, oh wait, nobody cares about this except like the people,
soccer nerds,
the MLS community, which makes up like a subreddit and like a small corner in ESPN.com.
Damn.
And so I enjoy going to Sounders games. I enjoy the experience, but do I really care about them?
Do you follow them? No. You
no.
don't follow transactions and stuff. So you're saying that with the Kraken, could have been the Sockeyes. It'll be a kind of like tepid, like lots of heat out the gate, but then cool off as it goes.
I think I could stick with it, right? Because the Kraken win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah,
you're gonna see them on the cover of Sports.
Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you see them on the cover of Sports Illustrated, and you'll read about it on ESPN. Not that I spend that much time reading sports media anymore, but that like I could just see there being a little more excitement across the city. So that feeds into what I enjoy about the sports fan experience.
Got it. Yeah, because you're a clean slate, like across the board, like fan of teams from Seattle. Correct.
Yes, correct. Basketball. I like the Golden State Warriors.
Ah, shit. All right, well, at least you keep it on the West Coast. I'll have to disagree with you there. The Sockeyes would have been cool, but I think the NHL like kind of keeps it like they don't really go in for the kind of like goofy sports names. Like baseball, I feel like there's some goofy ones, like the Padres. Or the, like, what is a Dodger? Or basketball does the same thing. Like, Nets, Knicks, like, what are we even talking about? Hockey appears to be a little more like, no, I want to go with the badass thing. Because if the alternative was the Sockeyes, they're going to be like, wait, what? We just gave Las Vegas the Golden fucking Knights. The Golden Knights. The self-important Paladins, you know? And then we're going to give them, you know, the Seattle and named after a fish that we all enjoy eating? No, they're going to give them the Kraken.
I like to imagine that the logo would have been like a salmon with a couple of boxing gloves or something. I would really appreciate that.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. No, instead it's just kind of like an angry S, right? Like.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess it is.
Pretty much.
But they got something with the Space Needle on it too.
Oh, okay.
Can't remember. I haven't been I've been staying off social media because of everything's just too toxic for me right now. So.
It hurts to go on social media. Yeah,
It does.
wear your oven mitts if you're going to go on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or a face mask. Not a mask, like a fucking one with a grill if you're going to go on Twitter. But I was thinking about how they went with the Kraken. Seattle's got their theme down. The Seahawks, the Mariners, the Sounders, the Kraken. Like, it's all nautical themed.
Yeah.
Hot take conspiracy for all you QAnon heads out there. The Sonics left because they weren't over the top nautical themed.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, it is a possibility.
I think they were
is Adrenochrome.
They were the only.
It's not a possibility.
They were off colored too.
They were. They didn't
green.
have blue.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they were just green and yellow. So.
Damn. Well, that makes a lot more sense. Will there be an NFL season?
I'm starting. Yeah, I think there will be. I didn't think there was. College. I mean, it's looking like college is on the brink now.
Mm-hmm. Division 3. I mean, like the.
Yeah. Oh, great story. Was talking to a player. I coach for high school. I was talking to a player who's playing at UPS, and I guess the head coach at UPS was like a month ago. Was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have a season in the fall. Nice. No worries about that. And I remember thinking like,
really?
D3's what? Like, there's no money in D3. There's no way that.
No.
There's no way that's gonna happen.
You're gonna get a bunch of hella over-concerned helicopter parents anyway.
Yeah.
They're just like not trying to.
And so I think because players are getting paid money, I think they're gonna try and make it happen.
Every headline I've read indicates that they're just like, yep, it's gonna happen. But honestly, dude, if you want my take, like, politics is personal, politics is everything. The NFL's just an uber conservative organization, and they know that their fan base, as like sprawling and massive as it is, leans conservative. So they're comfortable like flying in the face of social distancing norms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they might do some like half-assed, like, oh, they wear a full face shield. Give me a fucking break, dude. Anyways, well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, there's part of me that's like, are they really gonna honestly report COVID cases?
No, dude. Fuck no. Fuck no, dude. I don't think so. I don't think they have any incentive to do that, and therefore won't. So, anyways, we're gonna wrap it up here. Kind of a second shot at the first question. Now that we've got you conversationally lubed up here, it's not the same question though. It's more specific. 3 words you would use to identify yourself.
Yeah, determined. Loud, provocative.
Noisy,
determined.
provocative man of conviction.
Yeah, I can take that.
There you have it, viewers. Nick Poggi Nestingen, our first ever guest, first ever partaker in the new segment 6 Feet Apart with Exceptional Humans. He is a noisy, provocative man of conviction. I'm Parker Thomas Brisebois, your host. Thank you so much for watching the show. Nick, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It's been an honor to be in front of all your fans.
Hell yeah, dude. All like 6 of you. I'm sure I'll have you back. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, we welcome any and all feedback. I'll have more episodes for you coming out soon. Continue to support. Mash that fucking like button. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Let's kick the shit out of this algorithm so I can pay rent and keep making videos. Parker Thomas Brisebois. This has been the Iridescent signing off. Peace.